What is going on, guys? This is Miasin, and this is the OCG metagame breakdown number 1 and 2. Pretty big sample size, 156 top-performing decks from 31 tournaments that were, of course, held in Japan, mainland China, and this time South Korea, during essentially a span of 2 weeks. So before we get into this pie chart and also kind of the explanation behind the decks doing so well, friendly reminder to like and subscribe, and also check me out on Twitch and Instagram, where I upload daily sneak peeks of my upcoming videos before they even get uploaded on YouTube. And of course, I try to make, 3 streams per week right now on Twitch, so make sure you check me out. Both links will be in the description box below. And with that being said, let's get right into this pizza. So the number one best deck, of course, is branded Despia. We've already covered this. It's nothing new. Even the last OCG metagame breakdown was the exact same. Last time it was at 18.9%. So I guess it's going slightly more down. But at the same time, it's because we have so many top performing decks. Remember that these are the decks that are doing well. It's not just everyone. So yeah, 31 tournaments multiplied, well, 156. I think it's the other way around. 31 divided by 156. No, the 156 divided by 31. Whatever, you get the point. So yeah, a lot of decks from these 31 tournaments are the ones that are building this pie chart. And then the second deck, wow, okay, never mind. So Brave Tenyi is actually on par with branded Despia. Now, this deck will never exist in the TCG because there is a card that we do not have that is way too important, that is Dengelong. But even on top of Dengelong, there are more cards that we are just missing completely, such as the O-Lion and I think the Galaxy Tomahawk. We're going to be covering this later on. And number 3 best deck, to no surprise, is Flunderies. Again, I've been saying this ever since we got the new Quick Play spell card. This deck would become tier 1, by far one of the best decks. Flunderies is that kind of deck where you look at it and on paper, there is no reason for the deck not to be the number 1, outside of hand traps and, maybe it can't break boards going second. But in a format where the other decks are nerfed and the format isn't way too aggressive, Flunderies is just an unfair deck, because if you all open Robina and you go uninterrupted, it's really hard to lose. Like, you almost have to put in the effort. Like, Impin is a floodgate, but it's actually not even the most important thing, because you get to search the trap or the field spell that allows you to normal summon on your opponent's turn, get a Ryza, and maybe the Wind Bear statue on top of that, and even search DD Crow on your opponent's turn. And there's even a built-in DD Crow Flunderies monster. So the deck is kind of toolboxy in what it does. The one issue is that you can't special summon the turn use either of the Flunderies effects, but it really isn't the end of the world. So the deck is still ridiculously good. Again, the reason why it's doing so well right now is because of the Quick Play spell. Now, Eldritch is also doing pretty well because they have 3 skill drain. Remember that, because in the TCG, Eldritch will always be worse. At Emancipator, they still have Block Dragon, Sky Striker. Now they have 2 engage, but they only have 1 Kagari. So I want to say Sky Striker that we have in the TCG is slightly better than them in the OCG, but at least that deck does not lose to Maxi. Same thing with Flunderies, just not losing to Maxi whatsoever. And branded Despia doesn't need to do like that many special summons, so Maxi just doesn't make your opponent lose, like draws that many cards. And then after that, Brave Virtual World. Now instead, in the TCG, instead of having Brave Virtual World, we have something completely different that is Sword Soul Virtual World, which is an aggressive combo deck that actually makes a lot of negates. And it's not like Virtual World or standalone Sword Soul that are both kind of mid-range aggressive decks that make a lot of negates. This is completely different. Well, what I'm actually referring to. But the Brave Virtual World deck is also a deck that makes quite a lot of negates in that format, in the OCG. And in the TCG, we could also expect that deck to be good. But remember that you can't really cut any of the Virtual World cards, so you would have to cut on the hand traps. So your deck will be slightly less consistent if you really want to play the Brave engine in Virtual World. Now, Drytron, of course, not doing too well in the OCG and in the TCG. In the TCG, it's not good because a lot of people are playing Droll with Forbidden Droplet and also Chao Feng, so that completely shuts off the Tritron deck. Whereas in the TCG, well, the OCG, sorry, they lose quite hard to Maxi, so that's kind of a bummer. And then Tri-Brigade Lyrilusk in the TCG, it's infinitely better than whatever this position is. And then Sword Soul in the OCG, it did take a little consistency hit. And Phantom Knight got a gigantic nerf, so the deck is borderline unplayable right now. Marincess is also a pretty good deck with the Brave cards. It's pretty cool. And Others is superior to branded Despia and Adventure Tenyi and stuff like that. Well, Brave Tenyi or whatever. I'm not going to call it Adventure. Now, there are some formats where the Others decks are actually, well, the Others combined are always less than the number 1 best deck. So, for example, in this breakdown, you could see that Phantom Knight was like the best deck by a long shot. Like, it wasn't even close. Whereas the other decks, they weren't like that represented. Whereas now it's the other way around. So yeah, others is actually better. Well, at least there's more variety, I guess you can say. That's a better way to put it. But again, the sample size is gigantic. Anyways, let's get into this list. So 22 branded Despia, the majority of them are playing with the Brave package, and then one of them is not playing, and then the other one is playing Fright Fur, and the other one is playing Invoked. That's very interesting because Alistair does conflict a little bit with branded fusion, since you can't summon monsters from the extra deck that aren't fusion. And now you might be thinking, well, Alistair doesn't really care of that because all you do is use invocation. Not really, because sometimes you need that light attribute. So if you have to go into Secure Gardna with Almirage, then that's, you know, Link monsters, so that's not gonna work. But it's still pretty good, I want to say. But the most popular build is the one with the Brave token cards, because that allows you to play around hand traps. And then Rose Dragon, Brave, Tenyi, again, a deck that we do not have access to in the TCG. Flunderies, Eldritch, majority of them are playing with branded. This is something that we were able to see in the last OCG metagame breakdown. So I think this was the deck list. As you can see, playing 2 Fallen of Albast, 3 Branded Fusion. It's just an engine that allows you to have like interruptions on the field. You can even send Necro World Banshee and activate Zombie World if you want to make Lubellion, because that is a dark attribute monster. So definitely a pretty cool play that you have at your disposal. And then Adamancipator, the majority of them are playing pure, but some of them are playing with the Punk engine. And the other one is with Prank Kids. Now, it's funny because in the TCG, I want to say almost everyone plays with the Prank Kids. And the reason for that is because we do not have Block Dragon, so it's really hard to just play Adamancipator pure. It just kind of lacks that juice, I want to say. So I'm really shocked to see this player still play Prank Kids, despite the fact that he has access to Block Dragon and all those broken, ridiculous cards. But yeah, Sky Striker, Adventure, Virtual World. Okay, look, I hate. Oh my god, it's so cringe. Yo, Brave was good enough. Okay, it's kind of like Flunderies. I don't want to say Fluanderies. Anyways, Drytron, Tri Brigade, Lyrla, Sword Soul. Well, we covered that. Fiberin says that's a pretty big number. That's the reason why it's up there. And then these are the other decks. So Adagnestor, Altergeist, Branded Thunder Dragon. This is looking pretty interesting, not gonna lie. Evil Twin, and the TCG, it's a rogue deck. It's hard to explain. I mean, it's a very good deck, though. So, yeah. Magician, Phantom Knight, Tri Brigade. Wow, okay, interesting. People are still playing that deck. Oh, it'll never die. Zephyra, Brave, good stuff. That's the deck that has Sangan, and that just searches Nemesis Corridor with Cupid Pitch, and then makes Thunder Dragon, so it's cute. Brave Prank Kids, this, I think, will be much better in the TCG. Brave Spiral, wow. Again, Spiral is banned in the TCG because you can't look at your opponent's deck with Drone in remote duels. Yeah, don't even think about it in the TCG. Branded Invoked, Branded Lyrlusk, Ancient Word, Tri Brigade. I really don't see the freaking synergy. Like, Branded Fusion actually cucks you. Like, you really want to make Xyz summons with Lyrlusk and Link summons with Ancient Word and Tri Brigade, so I really don't see why you would make your deck worse playing Branded. I feel like that's a trap that a lot of people fall into. Every time there's like a splashable engine, there's always like a drawback to the engine, but for some people just, for some reason, people don't care and they still play that engine, which I find a little whack. Branded Shadow, alright, that's pretty cool. It's definitely a very good deck. Branded Zombie, again, I don't know if I'm a big fan. Code Talker, Dinosaur, Dragon made only one, and only one Salamangrate. Very interesting to see Adagnestor getting so many more representation than Salamangrate, but whatever. Alright, Branded Despia. Now, this is something that I didn't showcase in my combo video and deck profile, but Despian Comedy is this little card right here, and it is very similar to Soravis in what it does. So if your opponent has Valor or Imperm and uses it on the Aluber, you can discard the Despian Comedy to protect your Aluber from the Valor or Imperm. And same thing with the other monsters that are Despia, so you can protect them that way. And also, if your Lubellion gets Valored, then you can pitch the Despian Comedy from your hand to the graveyard as cost, and then your opponent goes Valor Imperm, and then you chain Despian Comedy, tribute your monster as cost, the Lubellion, and then revive back the Despian Comedy, and the Lubellion still resolves because it wasn't successfully negated. One interaction it really is similar to would be, let's say your opponent goes like Widow Anchor, targeting the Cyber Dragon Nexter that you have, and you have Link Rebo in your grave. You go chain Link Rebo in grave, tribute the Nexter, revive back Link Rebo, and then the Nexter would still resolve, so you would revive back your monster, and the Imperm just never really did anything. So very similar to that. It's pretty cool, but apart from that, I think it's kind of bricky, and that's the issue that I have with this deck. Maybe I think it's not perfectly streamlined. I think it's going to change a lot in the future. I mean, Branded in Red, I want to say was probably one of the best cards in this deck, but for some reason, people are down to cutting it down to 2. I think it's a little weird. But Ghost Bell is also just a one-of. I don't understand why. I wouldn't even play this card, though. It's just not great at all. Veiler, I mean, people are just way too obsessed with Crossout. At this point, I wouldn't even play any of these cards. I think I would just be playing like board breakers, like maybe Forbidden Chalice, Forbidden Droplet in the main deck. I think it already makes so much sense than playing like bad hand traps like that. I guess, you know, even against the other decks, I don't know. I'm just not a big fan. But yeah, overall, this deck list is relatively good. I mean, Pot of Prosperity, because your extra deck for the most part are just the exact same monsters. It's so funny to see like the #1 best deck almost having no options in the extra deck. Because the way the majority of the Despia players are playing this deck online, they have like almost 14 or 15 almost sometimes different extra deck cards because they want to have as many options as possible. Yeah, in the OCG, people just don't care. They kind of want to limit their options because they want to do a restricted amount of things, but they want to do them well. So I guess that's one thing. And again, still playing the Brave token, even though Rite of Aramesia and Aquamancer are both semi-limited. Apart from that, nothing too notable in the main deck. For the extra deck, side deck rather, I'm really shocked to see 1 token collector. I don't necessarily know what is the synergy because it's not light or dark. So how do you foolish for this card? How do you access it if it's a one-of? Do you have to like draw it? I don't know. Maybe there's something I'm missing. I guess the Foolish Burial, but I don't know. Yeah, maybe there's something I'm missing completely. And the rest of the side deck, just a bunch of staples. Again, I wouldn't even bother with like a second copy of Ghost Bell, Veiler, Imperm. These are just low impact cards. You might as well just play Silver Bullets at this point. Sorry, the #2 best deck, or rather should I say the #1 best deck tied with Branded Despia, would be the deck that is very much illegal in the TCG. So just by looking at this picture, you might realize that this is very confusing. So many cards here are very banned. Like here are 3 cards that are banned in a row. Destrudo, O-Line, that's O-Line, Jet Synchron. So yeah, 3 banned cards. And then the extra deck, Banned City. Denglong, freaking Galaxy Tomahawk. Oh wow, that's the new level 10 Sword Soul Synchro. Very interesting. It's not a negate, but it's kind of like Draco Berserk of the Tenyi, where when your opponent uses something, you don't negate, but you like hurt your opponent in a way. I don't know. I think Cheng Ying is a little better than that. But apart from that, yeah, I mean, this deck looks very, very aggressive. It's a full maximum combo aggressive deck. It makes a ridiculous amount of negates turn 1. And I don't think it needs like too many cards to pop off. And one cool thing is that if you can get 2 level 7s on the field, you make Tomahawk, and that already gets you to Aura Dawn, which allows you to get O-Lion access, and then you can synchro summon that way with the O-Lion and a token to make Dengelong and get your engine started from there. So it's very easy to get 2 level 7s on the field, but the issue is that you might be locked under Wyrm if you use the effect of Ashuna too early, so you're gonna have to watch out about that. I guess one pretty efficient way of doing that would be Wandering Griffin Rider plus either Ashuna or Vishuda. That could work, yeah, that's definitely a possibility. I think you can go reveal a Tenyi and then chain Wandering Griffin Rider, so both of them get summoned at the same time, because otherwise they would conflict with each other. Because Wandering Griffin Rider, you can only summon when you have no monsters on the field, or when you control Brave token, whereas the Tenyis, you can only summon them when you control no effect monsters. But when Wandering Griffin Rider is a quick effect, so that's pretty cool. And main deck Arch Nemesis Protos, that's actually kind of terrifying. And 9 Pillars, oh, good old days, man. Reminds me of True King Dino Yang Zing, the deck that won Worlds in 2017. Yeah, after Zodiac got bodied. So yeah. Anyways, 2 Aura Dawns in the extra deck, very sus. Flunderies! Okay, this is going to be interesting. So people are back to playing 1 DD Crow in the main deck. Remember that it is searchable with Rabina. Now, what shocks me is that people no longer want to play 2 Ryza. They want to play 1 Apex Avian to negate evenly matched and stuff like that. Because the Ryza kind of gave you like an infinite grind game. Because you could recycle back the first Ryza and then always have a Ryza, always have a tribute summon monster. But with only 1 Ryza, you can't really do that, so you have to win games very fast. Still pretty good though. I mean, Apex Avian is an Omni Negate that also bounces it back to hand, so you will always be able to tribute summon, so I'm a big fan. I don't think it's too bad. But yeah, only 3 tribute summon monsters. You never want to play more, otherwise you're just going to start breaking like crazy. The Wind Bear statue in the main deck, of course, I feel like you just have to do it. Maybe this card could get banned. I don't think so. I think the Simorg Link is going to get banned instead, because the Simorg Link makes both of these cards broken. Whereas if you want these cards to be broken individually, I feel like the only deck that can really do it would be this deck. But otherwise, Lyrilusk is going to be able to abuse both of these cards as well, which I just think is unwarranted. I just don't think that deck should have the ability to summon these floodgates from the deck. But Tribute Summoning or Normal Summoning, maybe it's a little fairer. But it's not like you could say that Flunderies was a fair deck, because it's not a deck that doesn't special summon. Oh my, that's a lot of not. Sorry. Yeah, it being a deck that doesn't special summon doesn't mean that it's a slow deck whatsoever. I mean, it literally kills you on the follow-up, and it makes a ridiculous amount of negates. It plays freaking, what, 12 hand traps? 7, 10, 12... I'm good at maths. I'm proud of myself. Oh my god. So many consistency cards, but this guy is maxing out on Mysterious Map, but he's not even playing Terraforming. Very sus. I don't know if I'm a big fan of that. And then, yeah, Vanity's Emptiness is just so free. You don't special summon, so you never lose to that card. And your monsters, they don't go to the grave when they're tributed. They go to the banished. So you can play as much as you want, and you'll never turn off your Vanity's Emptiness that way. Very, very filthy in that deck, and I can't believe this card actually exists in a format. I mean, the two of the top 3 decks are main decking the card, and it's literally an insta-win. I just feel like there are so many issues with the OCG, like Maxi, Vanity's Emptiness, just so many unfair cards. I mean, everybody and their mother are main decking 3 Maxi. Like, are you kidding? What is this? Yeah, unless you're going on a Flunderies mirror match, you're pretty much always happy when you see this card in your opening hand. But there used to be a time where people didn't main deck Maxi and Flunderies because they were very scared of losing mirrors, so they would only be siding the Maxi. Anyways, again, the one of random token collector in the side deck. I just don't understand one of sometimes. I guess some other times it makes sense, but this is a one of that you need in your opening hand. So it's really not like you could justify it by saying, oh yeah, it's a one of that I can dig into with Prosperity. Because it really isn't, unless you're going first. But if you're going second, you don't want to draw this for turn, and excavating it just doesn't really give you anything. So if you really want to, at this point, just play board-breaking cards. I don't know. I'm just... yeah, I don't really understand. Anyways, Branded Despia, Brave Tenny, and Flunderies, they are very much the best decks for the start of the year, obviously, 2022. Going into, I don't know if you can call this a good direction. Maybe, I don't know. I feel like we're always suffering with the exact same issues, but in a way, this being the best deck is kind of reassuring because I don't think it's that unhealthy for the game. This is definitely unhealthy, but I can't really criticize this too well because I'm not living in the OCG, and I can promise you that Flunderies is not a healthy deck whatsoever. Again, not being able to special summon does not make it any more of a fair deck. In addition to Valor and Imperm, Graveyard Disruption, hand traps such as DD Crow and Ghost Bell are gaining in popularity. Yeah, DD Crow because it's searchable, Ghost Bell, I don't know why, but I guess it's being played. The bulk of threats and resources come from Branded in Red during the opponent's turn, so stopping it is an effective counterplay against Branded Despia. That is very true, so if you Ghost Bell, Branded in Red, you're pretty much good. I think that card is I forgot if it's an you can only activate or you can only use, because I'm pretty sure Ghost Bell negates the activation, which kind of sucks. And that is you can only activate. So if you Ghost Bell a Branded in Red, you will be able to use another one. So I think DD Crow is a little better at that, because your opponent chains Branded in Red to like recycle back something, you DD Crow the target. And in order for Branded Fusion to properly fusion summon in its effect, you have to successfully recycle back the card from your graveyard to your hand, because it is a then kind of a connecting word and not an also. So the also is the kind of connecting word you will find in Area 0. So, sorry, Area 0, did I say? No, multi-roll rather. So if you go multi-roll, send something, and your opponent chains Cosmic Cyclone on the target of multi-roll, or whatever, even though the target wasn't successfully sent to the graveyard with multi-roll, your opponent cannot respond effect will still be resolving, so yeah, the also keyword is very big. Anyways, that's pretty much it for this OCG metagame breakdown number 1 and 2, so let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.